Ladies and gentlemen, let's get one thing straight. Your attitude is either building your future or blocking it, period. People think that having a positive attitude means being fake, that it's about pretending everything's perfect. That's not positivity, that's denial. Real positivity is showing up even when life is hard. It's choosing to respond instead of react. It's about saying, this might suck, but I still get to choose how I deal with it. A positive attitude isn't some woo-woo mantra. It's a weapon, it's a mindset, it's the foundation of everything. When life hits you hard, and it will, a positive attitude doesn't stop the hit, but it does stop you from staying down. You don't wait for things to get better before you feel better. You feel better so that you can make things better. That's power, that's ownership, that's how change starts from the inside out. Let me ask you something. What's your default reaction when something doesn't go your way? Do you complain? Do you spiral? Or do you take a breath, stand up, and say, okay, now what? Because that one question, now what? That's a positive attitude. It's not toxic. It's not ignoring the hard stuff. It's saying, I'm still in control here. You're not pretending the struggle isn't real. You're reminding yourself, so are you. Positive attitude is not passive. It's not about sitting back and trusting the universe while you do nothing. It's about getting your mind right so you can take better action. It's training your brain to look for opportunity instead of obstacles. It's being solution-minded when most people stay stuck in problems. And let me tell you, this matters in everything. Your work, your relationships, your goals, your confidence, it all shifts when you shift your attitude. Ever notice how some people just light up a room? How they walk in and the energy shifts? That's not magic, it's mindset. That's the result of someone who chooses every single day to bring the best version of themselves into the world even when they don't feel like it. So here's the deal. Your life will reflect the attitude you bring to it. You want more peace? Show up with peace. You want more joy? Start being joyful in the small moments. You want more opportunities? Show up like someone who's ready. Because attitude is energy, and energy attracts energy. You want to know what shocks people more than success? Grace, kindness, confidence, positivity even in chaos. You want to lead, be the calm in the storm. You want to stand out, be the one who lifts others when everyone else is tearing them down. You know what takes real strength? Keeping your head high when things feel low. That's what makes people turn their heads and say, whoa, how are they doing that? It's your mindset, your focus, your attitude, the stuff that nobody can take from you unless you give it away. So if your life's a mess right now, if you're tired, if you feel stuck, start with one shift. Your attitude, start saying, I don't know how yet, but I will figure it out. Start believing that something amazing could happen today. Start expecting good things instead of dreading bad ones. And when those negative thoughts creep in, and they will talk back to them, be louder than your fear, louder than your doubt. Remind yourself who you are and what you're building. Because life isn't happening to you, it's happening through you. You are not your setbacks. You are your comebacks. You are not your struggles. You are your strength. You don't need the world to believe in you. You need you to believe in you. So today and every day after, choose the mindset that moves you forward. Protect your peace. Show up with energy. Speak life into your own vision. Because positivity isn't weakness, it's your superpower. You want to shock the world? Show them what unstoppable looks like when you lead with a positive heart and an unshakable mindset. Now get out there and let your attitude do the talking. Your mindset is the steering wheel of your life. It decides where you're headed, how you respond to the unexpected, And whether you thrive or just survive, the way you think determines the way you feel, and the way you feel directly shapes your behavior. If you're running on negativity, fear, or doubt, you're going to veer off course every single time. But if you start steering with intention, choosing thoughts that build you up instead of break you down, you'll start seeing opportunities where you used to see obstacles. Let's get this clear. Having a positive mindset doesn't mean you're in denial about what's wrong in your life. It means you're choosing not to give your power away to it. You can acknowledge pain, disappointment, and setbacks and still move forward with faith. That's not delusion. That's emotional strength. That's resilience. That's what mentally tough people do. They don't let negative circumstances dictate a negative identity. Negative thinking is like driving a car with a fogged up windshield. You're still moving, but you can't see where you're going, and sooner or later you crash into something. You miss the turn. You take the wrong exit. You panic and slam the brakes on your own momentum. But the second you wipe away that fog, when you start shifting your perspective and get clarity, it's game on. Suddenly, the road opens up. And the truth is that fog, most of it is self-created. It's built from stories you've told yourself about what's not possible, about what's too late, about how you're not enough. And none of that is true unless you decide it is. Everything changes when you realize that positivity is a skill, not a personality trait, not some magical gift a few lucky people have. It's something you build, practice, and choose over and over again. Every time your brain wants to spiral into doubt or dread, you interrupt the pattern. You say, nope, I'm not going there today. You don't have to be fake or force a smile, but you do have to get intentional. You have to train yourself to focus on what you can do, what you do have, and where you can go from here. And it starts in the smallest moments. You wake up and the first thing your brain offers you is stress. You pause, you take a breath, you flip the script. I'm grateful I woke up. I've got a shot at today. Let's see what I can make happen. That shift, it takes less than 10 seconds, but it completely changes how you show up. Your mindset sets the tone before you even open your mouth. People feel it when you walk in a room. That energy, it's your attitude. And whether you realize it or not, you're influencing people every day with your vibe. Are you bringing light into the room or draining it? Are you encouraging solutions or feeding problems? Are you fueling progress or freezing in place? It's all attitude. And let's be honest, there are a lot of people walking around acting like life owes them something, like the world is just supposed to line up and make their dreams come true. That kind of thinking, it's passive. It's powerless. A positive mindset doesn't wait for perfect conditions, creates them. It says, I'll build the door if I don't see one. It says, I'll figure it out even if I don't have the answers yet. That's the kind of energy that moves mountains. When you decide to steer your thoughts toward possibility instead of panic, you become unstoppable. Why? Because most people quit in their heads before they ever take a single step. They talk themselves out of trying. They sabotage their own potential because their mindset is stuck in neutral or worse, reverse. But when your mind is aligned with your goals, when you believe that good things are coming even in the middle of chaos, that's when real transformation begins. You stop playing the victim. You stop needing everything to be fair. You stop measuring your life by how others treat you, and you start measuring it by how you show up anyway. You build emotional muscle. You learn to bounce back faster. You start seeing that pain has a purpose and setbacks aren't signs to quit, they're signals to pivot. And here's the most powerful part. When you consistently show up with a positive attitude, even when things aren't perfect, people notice. They feel it. They're drawn to it. It inspires them. That kind of mindset is magnetic. It shocks people because they're so used to seeing others fall apart. When pressure hits but you stay centered, you stay focused, you stay kind. And that's rare. You won't always control what happens around you. Life is wild like that. But you can control what happens within you. That's the steering wheel. That's your power. And when you start leading with that kind of inner strength, when your attitude becomes your anchor, your fire, your force, you don't just change your path. You change your life. Positivity is not some innate trait you either have or you don't. It's not about being born a positive person. That's a myth. Positivity is a practice one you commit to every single day, especially on the days you don't feel like it. And let's be honest, those are the most important days to show up for it. Because that's when your old habits, your old doubts, your old excuses try to sneak back in and run the show. You don't just wake up one day and suddenly have a bulletproof mindset. You build I-tone decision, one perspective shift, one intentional action at a time. It's no different than brushing your teeth or hitting the gym. You don't do it once and expect to be set for life. You repeat it, you train it. You make it part of your routine until it becomes your new normal. It's easy to be positive when everything's going well, right? When the money's flowing, the relationships are thriving, the opportunities are lined up, it's effortless. But the real work, the real test of your mindset, it's when everything feels off, when plans fall apart, when people let you down, when the uncertainty hits hard and your back's against the wall. That's when the power of a practice positive attitude kicks in. Not because you're ignoring the hard stuff, but because you've trained yourself to respond differently. People often wait for their circumstances to change so they can feel better, but that's backwards. The most powerful shift happens when you choose to feel better before anything changes. That's the turning point. That's when momentum builds. It's not fake optimism, it's mental resilience. It's saying, I don't have to have all the answers, but I believe I'm capable of figuring it out. You don't force yourself to be happy. You practice being present. You practice gratitude. You practice grace. You practice noticing the good even when the bad is loud. You practice catching those spiraling thoughts before they drag you down. And the more you do it, the better you get. You stop reacting on autopilot and start responding with intention. And let's get real, positivity doesn't mean you're always smiling. It doesn't mean you never feel tired or overwhelmed. It doesn't mean you bypass pain or pretend everything's fine when it's not. It means you show up despite those things. It means you give yourself the space to feel, but not the permission to quit. You learn how to hold both, the struggle and the strength, the chaos and the clarity, the mess and the momentum. Every single day, you get a choice: feed the fear or feed the focus. Which one wins? The one you train. If your mental habit is to worry, complain, or expect the worst, you're going to feel drained, stuck, and powerless. But if your mental habit is to look for what you can do, to search for what's working, to anchor in hope even when there's uncertainty, then your whole life shifts. And listen, nobody's perfect. You're going to have days where you slip, days where the negative thoughts win. That's part of the process. But the difference is you don't stay there. You catch it. You reroute. You remind yourself, I've done hard things before. I can do this too. And here's something most people don't realize. The way you speak to yourself matters more than anything anyone else says to you. Your inner dialogue is shaping your outer reality. So if you're constantly telling yourself, I can't do this, or nothing ever works out, or I'm not good enough, your brain will start looking for proof to confirm those beliefs. But if you flip that script even slightly, if you start telling yourself, I'm figuring it out, I'm learning, I'm growing, you activate a totally different part of your brain. A creative, resourceful, confident part of you that's built to rise. Positivity is a decision, not a mood. You don't wait to feel it, you choose it. And when you do, over and over again, something powerful happens. You become the kind of person who doesn't crumble under pressure. You become the kind of person who inspires others just by showing up. You walk into rooms with a presence. You speak life, not just to others, but to yourself. The results? They compound. People want to work with you, be around you, trust you. Opportunities open up, not because you're lucky, but because you've become magnetic. You've trained your energy. You've taken ownership of your perspective. And that energy, it creates outcomes. So the next time you catch yourself slipping into doubt, fear, or negativity, pause, breathe. Remind yourself, I'm the one in charge here. Then make a new choice. One small shift in thought. One small change in focus. That's how it starts. And the more you do it, the more natural it becomes. You're not just thinking positively to feel good. You're doing it to become powerful, calm, focused, unshakable. Because at the end of the day, you don't rise to your goals. You rise to the level of your mindset. And when that mindset is positive, trained, and intentional, you don't just survive your challenges. You grow through them. You lead through them. And you come out on the other side stronger than ever. Life is never going to be smooth all the time. Storms come, plans fall apart, people change, things break. And in those moments, it's so easy to get swept up in frustration, fear, and disappointment. But here's the truth. Having a positive attitude doesn't mean the storm goes away. It means you don't let it drown you. You learn how to keep your head above the chaos. You learn to adjust your sails instead of waiting for the wind to calm down. A positive attitude gives you your power back when everything else feels out of control. Anyone can be in a good mood when life is working for them. But what about when it's not? What about when the day hits you with bad news? When your plans get delayed for the 10th time? When you feel like everything you're building is falling apart? That's when your attitude becomes your anchor. That's when your mindset is no longer just a nice idea, it's your survival kit. A lot of people think strength is about pushing through with force, grinding until you break. But real strength is quiet, it's calm. It's that moment when you say, okay, this didn't go how I planned, but I'm still here and I'm still moving. That's a positive attitude in action. It's not loud. It doesn't need to scream. It just keeps going. And let's be honest, it's not always easy. Choosing to have a positive attitude when things are going wrong is hard. It's one of the hardest things you'll ever train yourself to do. But it's also the most powerful, because once you learn how to hold your energy in the storm, nobody, not your boss, not your past, not your fear, can take that from you. You don't need to love the storm. You don't even have to like it. But you do need to decide who you're going to be in it. Are you going to be someone who panics, complains, freezes? Or are you going to be the one who breathes, adapts, and keeps going? That's what people notice, by the way. Your resilience, your calm, your consistency. Think about it. Have you ever had a day where everything went wrong, but you just refused to let it ruin your spirit? You stayed calm, you cracked a joke, you still helped someone else, you moved forward. That wasn't luck. That was your attitude showing up for you. That was you refusing to let the day decide who you were going to be. That choice is available to you every single day. You don't have to wait for the rain to stop to feel okay. You don't have to wait for someone to apologize or the economy to change or your partner to say the right words. You get to choose peace. You get to choose focus. You get to choose how you show up, no matter what's happening outside of you. And the more you do that, the more you realize you are not powerless. You are not at the mercy of your emotions. You are not defined by your circumstances. You are in control of one thing, and that one thing is everything. Your response. That's your freedom. That's where your future begins. Right? Therein, the pause between what happens to you and what you choose to do about it. So next time the storm rolls in, next time you're tired, disappointed, overwhelmed, remind yourself, you've been here before, you've handled worse, you are built for this. And no, you don't have to pretend everything's okay. But you do have to show up with the kind of attitude that moves you forward. One breath at a time, one choice at a time. And let me tell you something, people are watching you. Not in a judgmental way, but in a what does strength look like kind of way. Your kids, your coworkers, your community, they're taking notes. They're learning how to handle pressure, setbacks, life from you. So give them something worth learning. Let them see what quiet courage looks like. Let them witness someone who doesn't fall apart every time life gets hard, but instead digs deep and rises. That's what it means to dance in the rain. Not to love the storm, but to live through it fully. To say, I might be soaking wet, but I'm still going. I might be cold, but I've still got fire in me. I might be tired, but I'm not giving up. Because every storm passes. Every dark cloud eventually moves on. And when it does, who you became during it, that's what will define you. Not the storm, not the struggle, you. Your spirit, your energy, your choice to rise. So start choosing it again and again. Choose the mindset that gives you your power back. Choose the attitude that doesn't wait for perfect conditions. Choose to be the one who keeps dancing no matter how hard it rains. That's how you win, that's how you rise, and that's how you shock everyone by being the calm, the focus, the light. In the middle of the storm, you will never build a strong, fulfilling life if you're constantly looking sideways. Comparing yourself to others is a trepanned. It's one of the quickest ways to kill your own joy, momentum, and confidence. When your eyes are on someone else's path, you're not paying attention to your own. You start measuring your progress by someone else's highlight reel, and suddenly everything you've done feels like it's not enough. That mindset, it'll drain you. It'll distract you. And worst of all, it'll delay your own growth. Here's the hard truth. Someone else's success has nothing to do with your journey. Their wins don't make you less worthy. Their progress doesn't cancel yours out. Their moment in the spotlight doesn't dim your potential. But when you compare, your brain tricks you into thinking there's only one lane, one timeline, one version of success, and that's just not true. Life is not a race. It's not a contest. It's a personal mission. And the more you obsess over where someone else is, the more lost you get from where you're supposed to be going. Comparison is sneaky. Sometimes it shows up as admiration, like, wow, they're doing amazing, but with a side of, and I'm not. Or it shows up as frustration. Why is it so easy for them? Or even worse, it breeds jealousy. But the truth is, you don't know their whole story. You don't see the failures, the sacrifices, the setbacks they push through to get where they are. You don't know the pressure they carry. You don't know the private battles behind their public success. So don't assume their chapter 20 means your chapter 5 is wrong. It's not. It's just different. You were not born to copy someone else's path. You were born to create your own. And the only way to do that is by focusing on your own life, your own growth, and your own purpose. That's where your power is. That's where your energy belongs. Because when your attention is constantly on what others are doing, you rob yourself of the clarity and creativity you need to build your vision. You dilute your impact. You scatter your energy, and then you wonder why you feel stuck. So what do instead? You shift your focus inward. You become your own competition. You measure your success by your own standards. You ask yourself, am I growing? Am I learning? Am I becoming more of who I want to be? That's the only comparison that matters. Not am I ahead of them, but am I ahead of who I was yesterday? And let's talk about social media, because that's the comparison machine of our generation. You scroll and scroll and scroll, and before you know it, you've convinced yourself that everyone else is crushing it while you're falling behind. But what you're looking at is curated. It's filtered. It's staged. It's a snapshot, not a full story. And if you measure your worth by that, you're always going to come up short. You're not behind, you're just distracted. Every minute you spend comparing is a minute you're not creating. Every second you waste wishing you were someone else is a second you could be becoming more of yourself. And that's where the magic is, not in being better than someone else, but in becoming the best version of you. The one who knows their lane, the one who honors their pace, the one who trusts their timing. And look, focusing on yourself doesn't mean you don't cheer for others. You can celebrate someone else's success without making it mean anything negative about you. That's maturity. That's growth. That's confidence. You can be inspired by someone and then get back to work on your own goals. You can admire someone's journey and still stay committed to your own. You can be happy for them and still be hungry for more in your own life. Because here's the thing, when you're deeply focused on your own path, you don't have time to hate. You don't have time to compare. You're too busy building, too busy growing, too busy becoming. That kind of energy, it's rare. It's magnetic. It's what separates the people who talk from the people who actually do something. And over time, that focus compounds. You stop chasing validation. You stop needing approval. You stop waiting for someone else to notice you or believe in you. You start validating yourself. You start trusting your process. You start believing that your lane is exactly where you're meant to be. And when you live from that place, you rise quietly, powerfully, authentically. So protect your focus. Guard your energy, get off the comparison track, and get back to your work. Because when you do that, when you channel all the energy you've been wasting on comparison into your own growth, you become unstoppable. You move with clarity, with confidence, with intention. You become the person who shocks everyone, not because you were watching others, but because you were focused on yourself the whole time. And one day, people will look at you and think, where did they come from? And the answer will be, you didn't come from anywhere. You've been here all along, building quietly, growing intentionally, and refusing to be distracted by someone else's noise. That's the power of focus. That's the beauty of staying in your lane. And that's exactly how you rise in your own terms, in your own time, and as your whole powerful self. Most people think success is some magical event, like one day everything clicks and your life just takes off. But that's not how it works. Real success, lasting, soul-deep, confidence-fueled success is built from small, intentional steps taken consistently over time. That's it. No lightning bolt. No big break. Just choices. Daily ones. Ones that often feel boring, repetitive, and unremarkable. But those tiny actions, they compound, they grow, and over time they transform you. You don't need a grand plan to start. You need a decision. One decision to show up differently, to stop waiting for the perfect moment, to stop relying on motivation, and instead build momentum. That's how you start. You say, I'm doing this, and then you do it. Even when it's hard, even when it's quiet, even when nobody claps for you. Because here's the truth. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. Some days you feel fired up. Other days, you don't even want to get out of bed. But discipline, habits, rituals, those are the things that carry you forward when motivation disappears. And the people who win in life aren't the ones who feel like it every day. They're the ones who move anyway, who act anyway, who keep showing up, even when it's hard, even when it's inconvenient, even when it doesn't look impressive to anyone else. You want to change your life? Start with one new habit, one new promise to yourself, and then keep it. Not for a week, not until it gets uncomfortable, but long enough for it to stick, long enough for it to feel like part of who you are. That's how identity shifts. Not in a leap, but in a layer. One small win stacked on top of another. One new choice repeated until it becomes second nature. And let's get one thing clear. It doesn't have to be perfect. You're gonna miss days. You're gonna mess up. That's part of it. What matters more than the mistake is what you do next. Do you spiral? Do you quit? Or do you reset and keep going? Consistency doesn't mean never failing. It means not stopping. When you do, it means holding the vision bigger than the setback. That's where the power is. And those small efforts, they're not just actions, they're votes for the person you're becoming. Every time you go to the gym when it's raining, every time you choose to write instead of scroll, every time you turn off the television to read something that stretches you, that's a vote. You're saying, I'm the kind of person who follows through. I'm the kind of person who invests in their future. I'm the kind of person who doesn't need external validation to keep going. Over time, those votes add up. You start to feel different. You start to see yourself differently, not because your whole life changed overnight, but because you changed quietly, steadily, without the need for applause. And that internal shift, that's the real glow up. That's the part nobody can take from you. People will ask, how did you do it? Expecting some secret formula. But the truth will be unglamorous. You got up early, you worked when it wasn't convenient, you said no to distractions. You chose discipline over ease. You kept your promises when nobody else was watching. That's not luck, that's consistency, that's self-respect, that's ownership. And look, I know that slow progress can feel frustrating. We all want things to move faster. We want to see instant results. But let me ask you this. What would your life look like 1 year from now if you committed to just one thing, one tiny improvement every single day? How different would your confidence feel? How strong would your discipline be? How far would you have come? That's the power of consistency. It looks like nothing until it becomes everything. And the beautiful part, you don't have to have it all figured out. You don't need to be the most talented, the smartest, the most connected. You just need to keep showing up to asterisk. That alone will separate you from 99% of people, because most people start and stop.